Hello and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell and I am here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. On today's show, we got a couple of young stars that are making a name for themselves, and I also want to talk about the winning margin that the Commanders have realized and the rest of the league has ignored. Yeah, we've got a lot of interesting topics to debate here, but before I get into all of that, please guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. It really helps get this video, push it out into the YouTube algorithms, gets it in front of more eyes. If you decide that you like me, you like the content, you just like the Commanders, hit the subscribe button as well. I'm going to be posting daily, yes, daily videos, so you're going to get an awful lot of stuff, news, reactions, insights from practice, all that stuff. You'll be able to find it here on this channel. And as I go through this video, scroll down to the comment section, leave me your thoughts on everything that I'm saying. As I always say in these videos, I don't record just to talk to a blank space behind the camera. I record because I want to know your thoughts and opinions. I want to be able to interact with you. I respond to everybody in the comment section. And hopefully we make it down the road and we've got enough support and we can get some of you guys on these videos with me too. I think that would be really cool if we made that a regular thing. But let's go ahead and jump into our topics today. As I mentioned, a couple of young players, and I may have called them young stars, but that wouldn't be fair because we're not talking about a first-round draft pick. We're not talking about Jaden Daniels or Josh Connerly Jr. We're not talking about established members of the roster. We're going to talk about a 7th-round draft pick and a UDFA. I actually talked about a UDFA yesterday with Jacory Brooks. We're going to a different player, and you know what? Why don't we start with him? I plan on getting to him second, but let's start with Tyler Owens. So Tyler Owens is a second-year player. He was coming out of Texas A&M, Texas Tech. I should know. Don't know why I'm having a brain fart. But he was a backup safety. Really, he was a special teamer last year. And if you guys don't know the name Tyler Owens, he was a demon on special teams. And that playing teams successfully takes a whole different mindset. You just got to be relentless. You got to throw caution to the wind. You got to just be an animal and have that. Everybody talks about a dog mentality in sports. Well, if you're playing special teams, if you're a gunner and you're flying down the field making those tackles, you really have to have that mindset because you're willing to basically get in a full speed car crash just to get a guy on the ground. And it's special teams. It's not as glamorous as offense or defense. You're not sacking the quarterback. You're not making an interception. You're just running down the field after a punt. Everybody normally gets up to use the bathroom or go get some snacks when there's a punt and there's a commercial timeout. And you got to have that mindset. Okay. I'm talking in circles here, but Tyler Owens, despite him being limited that special team role last year, it's not as if this guy doesn't have any sort of athletic talent. You know, he had a 41-inch vertical leap, which is crazy, a 12-foot 2-inch broad jump, which is also ridiculous. I didn't see an official 40-yard dash time for him. I know he didn't run it at the combine. I looked for a pro day. I didn't find it there. But in high school, he ran the 100-meter dash in 10.35 seconds. I'm a former track runner. I can tell you that's really fast for a high schooler. He's from Texas, so he's not going to be winning state championships because Texas sprinting in high school is just absurd. Like, those kids are basically, if you're winning a state title in Texas and track, you're probably going to the Olympics one day. But a 10.35 is super fast. That's what DK Metcalf ran. You remember when he entered that professional track meet a year or two ago? And he was talking trash, saying, I can beat these pros. And he got last, but he did hang with the pros. That's what Tyler Owens ran in high school. So he's an athletic freak. It's more so, can you take that mindset of relentlessness on special teams and transfer it into being calm enough and intelligent and savvy enough to understand defense? I think one of the problems with these super athletic guys is they're so eager to utilize that athleticism that they don't actually end up making the right play all the time. And I want to translate this back to a quote from Bobby Wagner from earlier in camp. And someone had asked him about how he dealt with aging and how he thought his game has evolved as he's gotten older. And he said, you get these young guys and they can run faster than me. They might be able to cover more ground, but it's going to take them 10 steps to get to a place that I can get to in 2 steps. And I'm not saying this applies specifically to Tyler Owens, or maybe it does, but I'm not singling him out. I'm just saying that a lot of young guys with extreme athleticism are so anxious and jumpy to use that I think part of what's going to help Tyler Owens get on the field in that safety capacity is just being a little more calm, a little more measured, which does mean he's probably going to come off of teams. But hey, a lot of guys who are on NFL rosters making big plays right now started as special teamers. Tyreek Hill was a 5th-round draft pick and a punt returner, and he went on to become, at his peak, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Tyler Owens did get some runs with the ones on the day one of training camp, on the first day of training camp. Big reason why I'm bringing up his name here, because clearly there's a level of confidence in him from the coaching staff. On Friday, he also jumped a pass, picked off Marcus Mariota. So we talked in yesterday's video about the defense actually making plays and how that's a good sign early in training camp. Tyler Owens is a part of that. He is inserting himself into these conversations. And I'm not expecting him to become a starter, but when I look at some of the limitations of this Commanders defense last year, athleticism was definitely one of them. And if we're to look at what the Commanders have done in the draft process, they definitely have a type, which is athletic. Think about their picks. Josh Connerly Jr., what was the question? Play strength. What was the huge plus? Speed and agility. Yeah, he's freakishly mobile for a man of his size, considering he's only 21. Let's look at Jacory Croskey-Merritt, 7th-round pick, very athletic. How about Kane Medrano? A converted wide receiver playing linebacker, super athletic. Jalen Lane, super athletic. It's been their type. Jaden Daniels, obviously. Luke McCaffrey had good numbers. Johnny Newton, Brandon Coleman. The players that they have picked in their first 2 years in charge, that being Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, they've all followed this mold of having great athleticism. And I think a big reason they're looking for that is they can't coach somebody to be taller or faster or jump higher. The professional weight training, sure, it'll help to a certain extent, but there are just certain athletic gifts you can't teach. They believe that they can teach Tyler Owens how to tackle and how to read the quarterback's eyes and how to play zone coverage and things like that. I think they have confidence in themselves as leaders and have the ability to develop someone's skills. So they'll take on a project and they'll wait 2 to 3 years and then they'll put him out on the field. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, where the heck did this guy come from? How did we let him fall? You see it happen all over the NFL. And sometimes it really works out. Like look at the Eagles with Jordan Mailata, a rugby player. Was it rugby or Aussie football? I can't remember. But he's a 7th-round draft pick. Nobody really thought anything of him, but he was this massive man who could move well, and they get him with who may be the best offensive line coach in the league, and now all of a sudden he's an all-pro. I think that's the route the Commanders are going down. Tyler Owens is emblematic of that, and I am going to be keeping an eye on his development. Another player that we are going to be talking about, one of these late draft guys, Owens wasn't drafted. This guy was drafted in the 7th round, and I did just mention his name, Jacory Croskey-Merritt. The running back out of Alabama State, out of Arizona by way of New Mexico, by way of Alabama State, I think is the correct way to say that. Only played 1 game in his senior season at Arizona. He had something like 13 carries for 110 yards and a touchdown. I'm rounding those numbers a bit, but that's what I remember off the top of my head. He got his eligibility cut short. I'm sure everybody knows the story. Eligibility cut short, only played in 1 game his senior season, really his 6th season. But he did have a terrific year at New Mexico the year before. A lot of scouts thought that this was maybe a round 3, round 4 sort of pick. But because there was basically no tape on him, he ended up falling to the 7th round, did win MVP at the Shrine Bowl, enough reason for the Commanders to take him. And I've been really impressed with a lot of the things that he's said, he being Croskey-Merritt. In these little interviews that he's done with local news networks or whatever, he's basically said that, hey, look, I was disappointed that I fell in the draft. Who wouldn't be? But I'm excited because I believe that me falling put me in the right place. And when I look around, it's the right thing to say, don't get me wrong. But when I look around, I think he's actually kind of hit the nail on the head. Because if we look at this Commanders running back room, first of all, how many times is a 7th-round pick going to have an opportunity to compete for a starting spot? Not very often, but that is the position that Croskey-Merritt finds himself in. Also, looking at the players in this Commanders running back room, with respect to all of them, there are no outstanding players by NFL standards in the room. But there are outstanding mentors and people for him to learn and watch and develop his game. Because Croskey-Merritt seems to have a little bit of everything to his game. And he's rough around the edges, sure. Like, his pad level's high. He's very upright when he runs. He's maybe not the biggest and the strongest, but he does have this violent explosiveness, really good instincts, running between the tackles, good one-cut burst, a lot of tools to his bag. So if you look at these players in the running back room, you say Austin Eckler, hey, that's the pass catcher. I can learn from him and how he's been so consistent. Brian Robinson, a little more physical, bit of a bruiser, do-it-all guy. I can learn from him in that capacity. Jeremy McNichols, kind of a glue guy who's like great in pass protection and also can take it between the tackles and do some goal line work. Yeah, I can learn from him. Anthony Lynn, a great running back coach. This is my point. Just because there's no superior player in that room doesn't mean that this isn't a terrific learning situation for him. It's like, Mike Krzyzewski was not a great basketball player. Bill Belichick was not a great football player, but they became great leaders, great teachers, great mentors. And I'm optimistic that that's the spot Croskey-Merritt finds himself in. We got a quote here from Dan Quinn about Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who has been impressed by what he's seen from him at camp. He said, quote, "It's the violence of the cuts. He can get his shoulders square and get downhill fast. He's off to a really good start." I'm encouraged by this. I did take Croskey-Merritt in my fantasy dynasty draft, so we'll see how that holds up. But I mean, seriously, we know the Commanders' key to success this year, especially with the Terry McLaurin situation going on, could be the running game. They're most likely not going to get back to the NFC Championship game and maybe even the Super Bowl if Jaden Daniels is the leading rusher again. If Terry McLaurin's not there, defenses are really going to be able to come down into the box, say, we know you don't have guys who can beat us in man coverage, so we're just going to stack the box. You're not going to run anywhere. If Croskey-Merritt, he doesn't even have to be the starter, but if he can be that off-speed pitch who can come in, get through the hole, one-cut, explosive play, get you like 25 yards just here and there. Brian Robinson last year only had 4 carries all year above 20 yards. I think he only had 9. It's either 9 or 19, which I know is a big difference. Actually, it is 19. He only had 19 carries above 10 yards. So that's basically 1 per game. Just not a whole lot of explosiveness. With B-Rob, it's very much like it's a 3 or 4 yard game pretty much every time. And you're not really going to get any deviation from that. There's a place for that, but not as the guy who's getting all of the carries. Croskey-Merritt coming in, I'm not saying this is David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, but look around the league. That's what the NFL has gone to, this split back system, and Croskey-Merritt gives the Commanders the opportunity to do that. Before I close out this video, we're going to switch and talk about the winning margin that the Commanders might have found here. And this one's particularly interesting to me because, as you can see, we have a Virginia Tech banner, pennant, I don't know what you want to call it right here, and it hits close to home, I guess you could say. I want to talk about the Commanders' special teams. And the reason I point out Virginia Tech here is because Frank Beamer and Beamer Ball, I talk about in sports, there are different ways to create winning margins. And it depends on what you're good at as a team, what your players have the talent for, what your coaches are good at. It could be anything from, in basketball, it could be offensive rebounding, points off of turnovers, 3-point percentage. It could be a lot of different things. In football, I think the Commanders and what Virginia Tech did is they're trying to find a way to leverage that third phase of the game. Going back to Frank Beamer, college football was just offense and defense. Frank Beamer made special teams legitimately 1/3 of the game. It seemed like every game they got at least a blocked punt, a blocked kick, a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, something, a 4th down fake punt pass conversion. Special teams, again, it's an afterthought for pretty much every team, but they made it a true part of the game. The Commanders last year, how many times did Dan Quinn say, we want to put the ball in play on kickoffs? We want to give the opposing team the ability to return the ball because we believe we're going to get down the field and stop them before where they would have gotten the ball to on a touchback. we have that much faith in our guys getting down the field, making plays. Look at what they've done so far this summer. They re-signed Jeremy Reeves. They re-signed Percy Butler. We talked about Tyler Owens being a freak. Nick Ballore did great work on special teams last year. They drafted Jalen Lane, who, yeah, he's going to get some reps at receiver, but Adam Peters specifically said, you're the best punt returner in the draft. So in this class. So we are bringing you in. Luke McCaffrey, they gave him opportunities as a rookie last year. Austin Eckler, who would have thought to make him the kick returner, yet he was outstanding back there. The point I'm making here with this, also, the kicker situation, we get it. The Commanders got thrown for a loop. Was it Brandon McManus? I think that's who they might have signed at the start of the year, and he was supposed to be the kicker, and then they had to cut him. And then it went to Seibert and Zane Gonzalez, and now it's Matt Gay. That's kind of its own separate sort of situation. But the point I'm making here is I like the Commanders' just ingenuity. They are never satisfied sticking to the status quo. And I like that they are looking for different ways in which they can influence the game. And one of the most interesting things that I've heard on just how to evaluate the game of football, and I'll close it out with this, is that as long as you're not scoring, if we're talking about all of the other plays in between, football is really just a war between two units. Think about out on the battlefield. You push each other back, you back and forth. Maybe you hit a flank and you pin them into a corner and they come out and they lead a counterattack. And the battle for field position in the NFL, that's all it is. If I kick it off and it's a touchback and I get it on, what is it, the 25 now, the 30? And I can't even remember. And then the other side gets it there, and then there's a punt and we're shifting around. You know, if my team gets to the 50-yard line, and then we get stopped, and we don't score on that drive, but I can punt it and pin you inside your 5, and then you take your drive, you get 1 first down, you get out to like the 18, and then you have to punt it back to me. And after the return, I have the ball at my 40. You're not winning on the scoreboard, but you're winning the fight. And for the Commanders to recognize the importance of this in a field position, I think, again, is just a testament to the intelligence of the front office, the general approach of Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt Jr. and this entire coaching staff, and I just appreciate it. But I've been rambling for too long, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you did enjoy. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on upcoming videos. The Commanders are going to be back in practice tomorrow, so we are going to be able to react to clips and quotes and all that great stuff from there. Make sure you go to the comment section. Let me know what you think of this video and all the things I said, and I will catch you all in the next one.